Good morning and welcome to episode 22 of the Wayward Skein. Today is Sunday, November 18th, and it is my uncle's birthday today. Hi. So it's been 2 weeks since I've talked to you guys. I meant to record last weekend. Honestly, last Thursday was such an awful day that my boss said, "You're taking tomorrow off as mental health day." And, okay, I asked her, I was like, would it be a big problem if I took tomorrow off? And she says, no, I think you need it. So I took last Friday off as mental health day. It was a long weekend. It was Remembrance Day. I basically accomplished nothing that weekend. I was a zombie. I spent all of Friday binge watching on Netflix. And, it was just an awful, awful weekend. I got a lot of rest, and that helped. And since then, I got a tetanus shot, I got a flu shot, I had an appointment with a new family doctor, hopefully. So things are looking up a little bit. And I mean, last weekend was so bad that it was just awful. But this week has been a little bit better. There have been a couple of super, super busy days at work, though, so I haven't gotten a lot done. But I'm super excited because I made some knitting progress while I was away. Knitting progress. Talking is challenging today. But I do have some super delicious tea to talk to you guys about. So this is Twinings Orange and Cinnamon Spice. And for some reason, it has Beauty and the Beast on the packet, which is probably why Mandy had it. But this is a tea that my friend Mandy gave me a couple of weeks ago at Rhinebeck. I don't know why it says Beauty and the Beast on the box, on the packet, but it does. And she's a Disney freak, so that would be why. So this is rooibos tea with Vietnamese cinnamon, orange flavor, other flavors, orange peel, etc., etc. So it is super, super delicious. It's not overly sweet like a lot of the orange cinnamon teas are. It's subtle. It's warming. It's a nice, delicate flavor. So I'm really enjoying it. As I stick my cup in front of my face so you guys can't hear me. I'm sure you can hear me anyway. I'm pretty loud. So that's my tea. And I'm very much enjoying it. Actually, I'm enjoying it so much, there's only a third of a cup left because I brewed it before. I was ready to record, and I started writing my show notes, and I drank most of the tea while I was doing that. So there we are. I'm completely uncaffeinated so far this morning, so you guys get to enjoy that. Woo! So anyway, knitting progress. I'll start with the meh and then go with the yay. So I'm beginning to regret this test knit. I agreed to. Mainly, I'm regretting it because they didn't give any quantities in the pattern. It doesn't say how much of the yarn you're going to need, so it just says you need this yarn. Well, I started with a ball that was bigger than my head. So this is almost out as far as I'm concerned. Yes, yes, George. Really, guys? Really? Hey! The cats are fighting over the armchair in the dining room. So this is a test knit for Expression Fiber Arts. It's designed by Emily Walton. It is the Mina Capelet, and it is a lot more than I originally thought. There's no way I'm going to finish this in time. I don't even think I have enough yarn to finish this. George, really? George! Sorry. All I hear is coming from the other room. Because Lynx, the cute cat that comes and says hello to you guys, was sitting in the armchair and George wanted the spot. And George is just a bully who will basically just beat up the other cat until she gets the spot. So this is the Mina Capelet by Emily Walton. Be prepared if you do buy this after it is released. It takes a lot of yarn. Like a lot of yarn. I'm in the middle of a decrease row right now. I'm actually close to the end of the decrease row. I've basically had one decrease row already. This is the second one. there's no way I'm going to finish this when she wants it finished for, and I sincerely doubt I have enough yarn to finish it. So I'm a little disappointed because I've done a lot of test knits for a lot of different designers, and I've never had this sort of problem before where there was just no indication of how much yarn was needed, and I didn't have anywhere near enough. It has been a slog, basically because it's a lot of very boring knitting so far. The finished product is beautiful though, and I would very much like to finish it, but I don't know if I'm gonna. We'll have to see. It's in the naughty corner for now because I'm a little frustrated. It took some marathon knitting sessions to get through this much, like this like 3-inch stretch, and I don't have it in me to do that right now. I think I need some smaller palette cleanser projects. I need to go pick up a set of size 60 PNs so that I can finish the baby sweater that I have on the needles. So it's been sitting there staring at me disapprovingly from the corner because my yarn bowl is right next to the laptop and a little bit behind it, and that's where that project is sitting. So it's been looking at me disapprovingly for about a month now. And I really want to finish it, so I will try and get myself a set of size 60 PNs today and get to work, because it's only missing sleeves. That's literally all that's missing. So I feel like a bit of a bad knitter there. This is Softy Chunky, Bernat Softy Chunky in the Fern colorway. And I do have more of it. I just don't know if I want to take it out. I feel a little guilty because I'm usually pretty determined when it comes to test knits, but this one has just been, it's not begging me to finish it, so I don't know if I will. We'll see. The other thing I've been working on that I'm super happy about is the Flirt Shawlette by Emily Sharp. It's Bijou Basin. It's a pattern that's featured on Bijou Basin's website. It's also my entry for the Bijou Basin Cal. So you will note, perhaps, that Miss Selma of Little Big Knits has finished her project for the Bijou Basin Cal, and I can attest to the fact that she did not start it before we went to Rhinebeck because she got yarn from Carl at Rhinebeck to test, and that's when she started that project. So I know she started it on Rhinebeck weekend because I was there. So she finished it. It's a pair of fingerless Smiths. I never said you had to make anything big. I just said you had to make it either out of their yarn from one of their patterns or with Andy Modisette patterns or Mode Knit yarns. So I'm double dipping a little bit. This is, sorry, I've got it right here. So why am I, bleh. This is Bijou Basin Tibetan Dream, which is their, come on, you can do it. Really? Camera? Really? It is 85% yak and 15% nylon. It is their standard sock. It's super soft and squishy, and I love it. And it was hand dyed by Mode Knit Yarns. So this is the green to black or black to green fade. I don't remember like exactly what the color name is called, but it's green to black fade basically. And it is a, what is that called? It's not called a fade, it's called something. But anyway, it goes from this lovely Kelly green to a very dark charcoal gray, and then back again. And I didn't realize that it kind of striped, because I don't stretch it out while I'm knitting. And this is really cool. I really like the effect that it's doing. So this is the straight edge of the shawl, and the rest is sort of crescent shape, but it's a little too long for the needle now, so it's not going to, you're not going to be able to see the whole effect. But I am finished the garter stitch section, and I'm starting the eyelet section, which is not that long. So I'm hoping that maybe next weekend you'll have a finished product, especially since I have 2 flights to knit through. So I'm hoping to have it finished when I record from Rob's house next weekend. recording for Rob's house next weekend. So I'm going to the States for American Thanksgiving. I didn't finish talking about the pattern first. Not get into too many subjects at once. So this is the Flirt Chalette by Heidi Sharp. And it is for the BG Basin Cal. And so basically Heidi has offered a copy of this pattern or any of her patterns to one of the winners. There are 2 prizes right now. One of them is a book of patterns by Annie Modisett, which is sitting right next to me, but it's got stuff on top of it, and I don't want to... Things will fall on my head if I try to get it down. It's on a bookshelf right next to me. Because, of course, I'm organized and all my stuff is where it's supposed to be. The other thing is a set of mini skeins from BG Basin. I believe they're Tibetan Dream, but they might be Lasso Wilderness. I don't remember exactly. They're in my bedroom to keep them away from the cats. So that's one of the prizes, and there will be a pattern thrown into that as well. And there's a participation prize as well for anybody who doesn't manage to finish their project. So if you don't know if you're going to be able to finish, doesn't matter. Claim your spot in the faux thread. The grand prize will be chosen from all finished entries, and the participation prize will be for everybody. So that you don't, there is a point to participating, even if you're not going to finish. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into the eyelet section. Okay, there we go. I was wondering why it looked like that when the instructions didn't say that, but yeah, it makes sense now. Now that I've read the rest of the pattern. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. And this just lives in my bag like this. Like it travels just like this. And you can tell that I've used up about half the yarn at this point. Because the cake is see-through. Hello. I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. So that's all I've been working on. I'm looking forward to finishing this so that I can get onto some smaller projects and some more immediate gratification sort of things. Instant gratification, that's what I was looking for. So there was another giveaway going on. It was supposed to end last weekend. I didn't end up recording, so I gave you guys an extra week. I'm talking about the Annie Modisett giveaway. Annie has just entered her 4th and final round of chemo. Results were positive after the 3rd one, so I'm really, really hoping that this goes well for her. As you'll know, if you've watched past episodes, Annie's husband, Jerry, passed away a little over 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago. He passed away the Saturday of Rhinebeck weekend. And she is undergoing treatment for... what is it she's got? She's got some kind of lymphoma, but it's basically, she has tumors on her spine. And they're causing her vertebrae to crack and causing her a lot of pain. And she also has tumors on her neck, and basically it's kind of awful and horrible. And until her disability is approved, she has no income because unlike in Canada, where if you're on disability, your family gets survivor benefits when you die. Apparently in the United States, it just cuts off, and that's it. So when Jerry passed away, they lost his disability money, and Annie is not able to work currently. So she's lost all forms of income, which is kind of horrible, especially when you're undergoing cancer treatment. So I had set up this little giveaway so that people would donate to her PayPal and help her sort of string along until other things manifest. And so 11 of you stepped up, and I'm super, super happy about that. And so I had set up this prize from things that I had lying around. So I have this lovely skein of Lydia Yarn DK. It's a lovely rainbowy colorway, and it's called Harlequin. So there's that. There's this bag from Mina Phillip, who is the Knitting Expat podcast. She made this and sent it to us a couple of years ago for a giveaway. Apparently there's a piece of thread down there. So this is her Mina Makes label. She has an Etsy shop. I don't think it's been very active lately since she's had a, baby. and has a toddler running around the house now. So, because Layla's not a baby anymore, she's really a toddler. She talks and she runs around. And so I have this bag that goes very well nicely with the yarn, I thought. There is, and it's a little bit buried here, this gorgeous shawl pin made of, I never know how to pronounce this. It's agate? I don't know. I have no idea how to say this in English. So it's called Dragon Scales because of the color, most likely. So this is one of her shawl pins from Seattle Sky Dye Works, and Sarah is a lovely, lovely person. You should check out her shop. And Rosalie of Yarn Matrix, sorry, I didn't write it down, I should have, offered to kick in a pattern, any pattern you want, up to $10 US. So that's also included in the giveaway. I did a random number generator just before I recorded, and the winning post was number 3, who is Rosewin. That's Rose from Adelaide Hills in Australia. So hi Rose, you've won. If you can PM me your address, I will, and the quicker you can PM me your address, the better, because I'm going to be stateside next week and I can go to the post office there. Because we currently have a postal strike. So if you get me your address before I go to the United States, you have a much better chance of getting your package soon than if you wait until after. So get me your address as quickly as possible and let me know what pattern you would like, and I will let Rosalie know so that she can gift it to you. I keep wanting to see Rosemary, and I know her name is not Rosemary. I know it's Rosalie, but I have difficulty with names that start with the same letter. If I have 2 friends whose names start with the same letter, I will confuse their names all the time. It's a thing, apparently. It goes with the face blindness thing. I'm bad with names, I'm bad with faces. Basically, I have no way to identify you. I'm getting a little bit better at finding coping mechanisms to get around that, but it is very frustrating sometimes. I will run into somebody and I know them, but I won't know where I know them from if they're out of context. Like if I run into a knitting friend at Rhinebeck, I will be able to clue in as to who they are. If I run into somebody I go to school with at the grocery store, not a chance. I thought I ran into one of my grocery store coworkers at my office job, and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he just looked at me like I was crazy, and that's when I realized it wasn't him. It's frustrating, so frustrating. And people are like, "Oh, yeah, I get face blindness too." No, this is a processing disorder. It goes along with the fact that I have difficulty speaking sometimes. I have difficulty. I keep telling people I'm partially deaf. That's true and it's not true. I have difficulty hearing, but I mainly have difficulty hearing when there are many sounds. And it's not because I can't hear them. It's because I can't process the different sounds into different sounds. So it just sounds like one big loud noise. I honestly cannot for the life of me remember what it's called, but there is a very long name for it. And it's a sensory processing disorder. It's really hard to describe. Sometimes I can't tell what I'm seeing if it's not in the right context. If a picture is like tilted or whatever, I won't be able to make heads or tails of it. I have difficulty with multiple sounds coming at me at once. If we're in a crowded location and I can't hear what you're saying to me, it's not because you're not talking loud enough. It's not because I'm not paying attention. It's because there are too many sounds coming at me and I can't pick individual ones out. If I see you somewhere and I've met you before, I will not likely remember you unless there's something about you that sticks out. I'm getting better at recognizing people at Rhinebeck that I've seen many, many times at Rhinebeck. If we've only met once or twice, it's not going to happen. One of the first people that I started recognizing at festivals was Paula of the Knitting Pipeline, and it wasn't because at the time I didn't listen to her podcast. So it wasn't because of anything that I associated with her. It was the fact that she personally sounded like somebody who's very important to me in my life. She reminded me of somebody that I've known all my life. So that's why she stuck out to me. It's that sort of association I need to make in order to be able to remember people. Once I've seen you 7, 8, 9, 10 times, I will be able to remember you like that and know who you are. But context matters, because I once ran into my uncle in a hardware store and didn't recognize him. And this is somebody I've been around my whole life. His appearance has never changed. He is my uncle. He is somebody important in my life. And yet I saw him out of context and walked right past him. I've told this story a few times that when I was 18, after I had left home, I was living on my own. And so I got on a bus to go visit my parents one day. And I was sitting on this bus for a good 45 minutes. And I was sitting next to this lady. And I kept thinking to myself, I know this lady. I really recognize this lady, but I don't know who she is. I was thinking that perhaps she was one of my grandmother's friends, because my grandmother had some friends that we saw fairly frequently as children, and they were people that we knew. I got home, it was still bugging me who this woman was, and my father called me. My father doesn't call anybody. So I answered the phone, and he's like, so I've been told to give you shit. And I'm like, sorry. I am a potty mouth. My father is a potty mouth. That's where I learned it. And I apologize. It does slip out once in a while. I try not to do it on the podcast, not because I want to represent myself as something other than I am. It's that I know that some of you have kids that watch the podcast or are around while you watch the podcast, and I don't want to be a bad influence on other people's children. So I do try to limit the potty mouth when there are children around. I don't swear at work. At the grocery store, I swear at the office job all the time. But I do try to limit it when I'm on the podcast. So my dad called me, and he said that he was told to yell at me because I had not said hello to my grandmother, who I had been sitting next to on the bus for 45 minutes. And I pointed out to my dad that she hadn't said anything to me either. She apparently realized who I was when she got home and she saw my picture from my last class picture when I would think I was in grade 8 on the wall. Because my parents would always provide her with our most recent school pictures. So I think the last one I had was grade 8. And so when she realized who I was when she got home and saw my picture, well, I don't have a picture of my grandmother on the wall. And I had not seen my grandmother in a number of years. I think the last time I had seen her at that point was when I was 12 or 13. So it was a little weird. And I felt horrible about it, but it's this thing that I cannot control. It's unfortunate, and it really sucks. For the first year that I was part of the knitting community in Ottawa, there were 3 women who would come to knit nights. There was Fiona, there was Amanda, and there was Chris. And all 3 were very slim, somewhat tall women with very, very long hair and similar facial features. And they all wore glasses, and they all had that same vibe about them and the somewhat similar look. And it took me a long time to be able to tell the difference, like who was who. It was very embarrassing, and some of the other knitting people made fun of me because I couldn't tell one from the other. It was awful. And they're all very lovely women, and now I can tell them apart no problem, but it was a problem for a little while because I was not processing the differences between them well enough to be able to tell which was which, and they were never there together. So it was almost like a sort of pokeroo situation, and right now everybody who is from Ontario is chuckling a little bit, and everybody in the entire rest of the world is like, a what? There was a kids show on TV Ontario when I was a little kid where the pokeroo was a 7-foot tall stuffed toy sort of thing. And I was about 4 when I figured this out, but there were a man and a woman animating the show. And every now and then the pokeroo would come in. but the man was never there when the pokeroo came in. And it took me a little while. I think I was about 4 when I figured out that the guy was had to put on the pokeroo costume, because this is Ontario and we didn't have very big budgets. And because the guy was never in the frame with the pokeroo. So I was about 4 when I figured that out. Anyway, now I'm babbling incoherently and I'm going to stop. So I have watched a ridiculous amount of TV in the last 2 weeks. My neighbors are stomping around upstairs. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Earlier, their kids were like running around and shrieking their heads off, so I paused recording for a little while. Well, I waited to record so you guys wouldn't have to listen to it. So I ended up finishing season 2 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I watched, because the last time I talked to you guys, I had just finished Guardians of the Galaxy. And so you watch the first part of season 2 right after Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then you watch the rest of season 2 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then you get into Daredevil season 9. Season 9. Wow, it's only got 2 seasons. Daredevil season 1. The way I wrote it down, the F from Guardians of the Galaxy is on top of the 1, so it looked like a 9. My handwriting is also horrible. And just today I finished watching Ant-Man, which is the next step. So now I get to get into season 1 of Jessica Jones. I will not have as much TV watching time as I have in the last week. Well, I say TV. None of it's TV. It's either Netflix or it's movies. So last weekend, I literally binged all of season 2. I binged Guardians of the Galaxy. I binged all of season 1 of Daredevil. And I finished the last episode of Daredevil last night. Was it last night? It was Friday night. Friday night, because I was at work yesterday, and I went to bed almost very shortly after I came home. So I worked 10:30 to 4:30 on Saturdays, and I think I made it to about 8 p.m. before I was just like, nope, I'm done for the day, and I went to bed. So I had my flu shot on Thursday night, and while I have not gotten sick from it, you don't get sick from the flu shot. You can have an immune reaction to the flu shot, which is what you want, but sometimes that immune reaction can bring a sore throat with it. It can bring congestion with it. It's gone after a few days, but you feel kind of cruddy for a couple of days. So I've been very tired since I got the flu shot. And I did have a sore throat yesterday. It wasn't so much sore throat. It just felt like there was a lump there. It wasn't painful. It was just in the way. So I think one of my lymph nodes swelled up, and it's fine now. Perfectly fine. I'm only congested because I was playing on one of the bookshelves that was really dusty and trying to clean it up. So that's the only reason I'm congested right now. I feel okay now, but yesterday was rough. I was very tired. I didn't want to be at work. I was really run down yesterday. So today I feel fine. And I'm going to have some more tea. It's very tasty tea. Thank you, Mandy. There are a number of podcasts that posted episodes since I talked to you last. Of course, I talked to you 2 weeks ago, so duh. There have been 2 episodes of Must Love Yarn, 2 episodes of the Cat Lady podcast. So Andrea, Miss I Don't Want a Podcast Anymore, has gotten back into it with a vengeance, which is awesome because I missed her. Stockinette Zombies has an episode. The Knit Girls have one. Fiberific, who is she's a yarn dyer in Australia that I follow. And she's had a number of episodes in the last month or so. I forgot to mention her last time. Espace Tricot put up episode 24 finally. Steeped in Books has had a number of videos up. That's Sarah from the Canadian Knitter podcast. Sometimes when my brain is going faster than my mouth, I start tripping. The Bakery Bears have a new episode out. The Knitting Expat has a new episode out. And she has a new sock club out. So go check that out if you have a chance. Cherry Heart podcast, who is a lovely British knitter that I like watching, has a new podcast out. Ninja Chickens has one out. And Dunkelgrund has a new episode out. I always love watching Anna because she's so smart and she makes it look easy. And I just love watching her. She's a very inspirational knitter to me. Which she's going to laugh at me saying, but I really enjoy watching her. So that's about all I've watched. I've read nothing. I'm starting to miss it again, so I'm going to have to start reading something soon because I miss having something to just flip open at night before I go to bed. I've been spending far too much time playing computer games before I go to bed, phone computer games. So that's what I've been doing before I go to bed instead of reading, and I miss the reading. So I've got to stop playing the phone games and start reading stuff before I go to bed again because I find that I sleep much better, and I do miss the act of reading. I've never been able to read ebooks because I require the physical tactile book. And anyway, so that's about all the senseless babbling I'm going to subject you to for this week. Reminder, Rose, send me your information. I will try to get that package out to you next weekend. I need to spend some time this afternoon putting some tea together because our Facebook group is going to have, my Facebook chat friends and I are going to have a December tea and mini advent calendar sort of thing. So one of my friends does not have a very large tea collection, and I was like, I have tons of tea. I will share. I do have tons of tea. It's kind of insane. Even at work, I've got this huge plastic tub that I've put all my mixed tea bags, like tea bags that I got from wherever. The individually packaged ones that come in little packets like this, not just like plain tea bags. But I've got a huge tub of them at work. And then I have a bag of Tivana tea from when they closed, and I have some other teas. I have all my David's tea samples there. So I have a lot of tea at work, and I have even more than that at home. So I have enough tea to share with my friend Brandy. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and I will let you guys know what is going on. If you guys want to do a mini blanket square advent calendar, feel free to join us. Maybe I will post something about that in the Ravelry group. But anyway, I will basically work my butt off to try and get this episode up in the next few minutes before I leave for my mom's house because it's Sunday and we go to her place for dinner. So I will wish you guys all a fabulous week, and I have missed chatting with you, so I don't think I'm going to skip out a weekend again anytime soon, and I will see you next week from Chicago. Bye!